There's a code 1225. Don't tell anybody else. It's a secret code. It's like the handshake. My name is Thierry Roturo. I'm the chef in the hat. Co-host with Pamela today. She's gonna be my co-host.
Yay!
We sent Tom to France to punish him since he mocks them so well. You know what's funny about Tom Douglas is when I met him, he was poo-pooing the French so badly, like people like me. Well, fancy food and all that stuff. And now guess where he goes on vacation? I'm going to France for a month. I'm like, what?
And you go to Morocco.
And I go to Morocco in a few weeks.
But you did get a French trip in
Yeah.
too.
I'm going to go see my mom afterward.
Yeah. So
Last time I went to see my mom a few months ago, I gave her COVID. My children have not yet forgive me.
Oh. Was it
She's
mild?
only 85 years old, or 82 years old, I should say.
Oh. Was it mild?
Yeah, she gets sick like everybody else for
Yeah.
2 days, coughing, and
Mhm.
then a few more days to get back on her feet. But my mom is the one who insisted. I called her. I said, "Listen, I'm not coming. I'm positive. I came out from a cruise, and I was like, I don't want to go and kill you. I mean, that would be terrible on my mind if I had known I'd kill my
Yeah.
mother,
Yeah.
as you can imagine." And I was like, "I'm not coming." And she's like, "Oh, hell, you are. You came all the way here. We haven't seen each other in a while. You have to come here." I go, "But you don't understand. I'm going to give you COVID and you're going to die." She say, her answer, word for word, "At least I know what I die from." Like most people don't know what they die from. I don't think people who die care.
Oh,
But anyway,
boy.
she
I
was
hadn't heard that part of the
very
story.
insisting. And if you think I'm feisty, she's 10 times feistier than I am. So you don't, eventually you give in and you just go, "All right, we're going to be adults here and we're going to measure." She goes, "I'm in perfect health. I'm in good health. It's okay." I went, and sure enough, it took 2 days.
Oh.
I was sick, I had coughing and everything, but she got it right away, and I heard it in the middle of the night. I was like, "Uh oh, here we go."
Dang.
But yeah, good morning, YouTubers.
Good morning.
In case you guys don't know, we're live on YouTube every Friday when we do the show. Sean, our engineer in charge over there, is really good at putting
Fabulous
us
Sean
everywhere,
McFadden, technical wonder kid.
which basically make our show worldwide, international.
So it's interesting because probably 24 people watch it, but people download it and watch it later in the week.
A lot.
Which we are
1,000.
stunned by. So today, I think I got all the way around. There is a segment where you get to put questions into Terry in the second hour. And the cadence of the show, for purposes of the Cairo radio broadcast, is that we do little 10 and 15-minute segments. So during the segment,
Are we changing that?
we'll stay.
Are we changing the size of the segment?
Well, they vary from 7 to 12 minutes.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
giving them a
Oh, I'm sorry.
overview.
I was like, maybe you changed something. I'm like, what? 15 minutes?
round numbers.
She's rounding up.
So when we tape it, Sean captures everything, and then it goes to the station, and they make it fit into their commercial breaks. So you'll see that we stay pretty much on target when we're in a segment, and then there's a little goofing around and color commentary in between the formal segments. Sound good? So you've got one piece of paper if you want to put in a question to Terry, but then we also need 2 victims for Food for Thought Tasty Trivia today, which
Why
is
2?
really fun. Well, because Tom's not here.
Oh, you're not playing?
I'm the question person.
Sean, we're going to change that soon enough. I like when she plays.
Because I was telling some of them I played 2 weeks ago and I lost.
She was mortified. That was hilarious. That part was funny.
Thank you, Terry.
That was hilarious.
All
All right. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Let me pull my... Il y a no internet today? Oh, yeah, there is. Wi-Fi is not connected to the internet. Oh, it's looking for it. Did you guys change there something on the internet?
No?
Still, Tom Douglas free Wi-Fi? Is that what I should do?
Or just hot stove?
TD-HS, man.
Yeah, yeah.
How come it's not connecting?
What do you need?
I just need internet. Wi-Fi. I don't know. Normally it connects automatically, but
Will you take a look at it for him?
I'm going to use my phone. It's okay.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. You get your taste of the week?
I do.
All right. You guys, you ready? When we come in,
Born ready.
you know what to do. And when we come out, you know what to do, right? No? You applaud. Yeah. Good morning. Welcome to the Hot Stuff Society radio show. I'm Terry Roturo, the chef in the hat. And our dear co-host, Tom Douglas, is in France. Yes, that is unbelievably true. Mr. Douglas goes on vacation in France out of any place in the world he could choose. For some reason, I don't know why, but he goes to France on vacation.
I think his beautiful daughter, Loretta, had a vote in it.
Yeah, children always will influence you.
They win.
So right now he's in the south of France. Boo. And good for him. Glad he's taking a vacation. My co-host today will be Pam Hinckley. Pam,
Yes, happy to be here.
so nice. Normally she directs behind the curtain, but today she's on stage.
In the curtain.
you're on stage. We have a big show today. Oh, by the way, watch us live on YouTube. You can do so by going to tomdouglas.com and click on the Hot Stove Society button, and you'll see us live every Friday morning, most Friday morning when we tape the show. And we also have a live audience. You too can
Handsome today.
break in some money, and for a little fee, you just come in and have breakfast and coffee. And well, I'm making. Oh, chef, good morning.
Chef Annie.
Chef Annie is making breakfast this morning, and you too can be on the show.
I want to do a shout out to the woman wearing the mushroom sweater because it is really something special. So I think we should have a dress code now, food related apparel. It would be so
I'm going to
wonderful.
wrap myself in a giant crepe. Look like
That would work
Look
too.
like a giant burrito.
Yeah. That would be great.
That would be hilarious. All right. All right. We have a big show coming today. Let me see. We're going to talk about corn as a pick of the season. We always have a theme. And yes, corn is everywhere on the market right now. So we talked about it a couple of weeks ago with Tom, but we're going to talk about it again today.
Just because it is at its full glory, and after this, you should stop eating it.
Well, there is, like anything else, everything has a beginning and an end.
Mhm.
All you have to do, I tell people, all you have to do, go to the farmer's market. It will tell you what's available right here, right now. Very simple. And I guarantee you, when the farmer's market closes, there is no more strawberries. There are no more tomatoes. So that doesn't mean you can't use canned tomato that you've made or good canned tomato, whatever. But it's just to have an idea of season is extremely important, I think, in people's life and in people's health, more importantly. Because if you buy in season, there's nothing they have to do to the vegetable to be there or the fruits. When you buy out of season, however, well, we won't go into that. This is a family show.
Keep it safe.
All right, we're going to talk to a very acclaimed Korean chef, Chef Ji-I Kim in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And she's going to tell us about a holiday, a Korean mid-autumn harvest festival called Chuseok. I hope I said it right.
She's going to educate us.
She will educate us about it. We're also going to talk about an article in the New York Times about the French uproar over barbecue and virility.
That was
Coming
exciting.
from France live. Well, we'll see. We'll talk about that. That's going to be funny. Couscous. We're going to talk a little bit about couscous.
Because you and I love it so much, so I thought we could do it while Tom wasn't here.
Here we go. And couscous is not a grain. I'm going to take that off the table right away. Many people, oh, it's a grain. It's not. It's a pasta. Kind of. We also invite questions from the audience. So some of you are going to be asking some questions to moi. And what else are we going to talk about? Annie's
Annie.
Korean fried chicken recipe. She has a deadly killer chicken recipe that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show. And then we'll finally close the show with playing Rob with Love Food for Thought Tasty Trivia
With audience members.
with the audience. So get your
They look
questions.
excited. I can tell.
Get your questions ready. No, you're not the one asking the question. You're going to be answering the question. And the winner takes it all. And you also get the fame of either
The
carrying
honor.
the honor and the fame of carrying the you won at Hot Stove Society radio show, or a big L on your forehead when you leave. There we go. And also, we also have every week the taste of the week. So Pam, you have declared that your taste of the week was
Ferrato.
Ferrato.
A friend was coming over. I had promised her risotto. Got to the cupboard, no rice. But I am a big fan of Italian farro that's been pearled, so it takes that rough husk off. And it can be treated the same way as the common varieties of rice used for risotto. I had a beautiful chicken stock that I had been working on. And I love this shoulder season because the market is already starting to have some fall vegetables
Right.
sneak in. So we had scored at the Ballard Farmers Market Sunday, first of the season chanterelles.
Mm.
So I did a hard roast on those in the oven. I wanted them crispy
Did
for the
you
top of the
put any
risotto.
oil, anything?
Absolutely. Everything with oil.
Oil, salt, pepper?
Flake salt.
That's it?
Yep.
Yep.
And chicken started with, always start with an onion in the I did it all in the cast iron. And then toasted the farro before I started the stock edition.
Good show.
Yep. And the crowning glory was some semi-dried tomatoes. Mike is selling now at Pike and Western that are
Oh.
spectacular. What's your taste of the week?
My taste of the week, I just went to Los Angeles. I went to a place called Japantown. If you I don't know how many of you go to Los Angeles, but there's an area in West LA that's called Japantown, and it's on Sawtelle and basically between Pico and Santa Monica. And I had a fabulous time, but it's amazing to see. You know, I lived in LA for 5 years before I moved to Seattle, but that was 35 years ago. The amazing changes that have happened over there is pretty cool. And I hadn't been there. And I went to a restaurant called Mempuku, and it's basically the grill, the hibachi grill on the table outside. And you bring your, they bring you order your food, and you grill it right on your table. You know, your little skewers or whatever you have, pair of tongs to move your food around. So I had some Kobe beef, and we had some vegetables, some bok choy, and some vegetables, and some bunch of mushrooms. We also did some shrimp, and I also had a beef noodle soup that was delicious. And I just wanted to mention Membuku because they have a few in Los Angeles, but it's a style of like Tokyo grilling, kind of outdoor. I mean, it's indoor when it's cold, obviously, but it's really, I really like that kind of food because it's very simple. Everything is sliced pretty thin, so you put it on the grill. It cooks really fast. You have the dipping sauce, barbecue, or whatever you're doing with it. It's pretty simple, but it's really delicious. And I had a very good time there. I took my mother-in-law to celebrate her 85th birthday. We went to a few other places. I'll talk about it later. Another mention, Augie Restaurant on Main Street in Santa Monica. It's a fairly new restaurant, grab and go mostly. You can sit in the place too. It's a dear friend of mine, Josiah Citron, who has Melis, a 2 Michelin star restaurant
Ooh la
in
la.
Santa Monica. And he opened that very simple cafe kind of idea. And I had a fried chicken sandwich. I mean, moi eating a fried chicken sandwich is
I'm surprised.
some of you eating caviar or something. I don't know. It's a very foreign thing to me, but he made a delicious fried chicken burger sandwich. It was absolutely delicious. The sauce was really beautiful. Kind of like hot and spicy, but not too spicy. It was really absolutely fantastic. So Augie, Augie, on Main Street in South Santa Monica, just before Venice. And
Worth
if you
a
have
trip.
Yeah, it's worth a trip. Just stopping by and grab something to eat. So that's my taste of the week.
Thank you very much.
You are so welcome. All right. Coming up next, we're going to talk about peak of the season corn. So stay with us here on Cairo 97.3 FM.
Anybody else have tips in Los Angeles? It's such a good food city.
I got another one. Blossom on in West LA. Look for it. Delicious Vietnamese food.
Everybody comfortable? Doing okay?
Oh yeah. All right.
So you see, when you see Sean, he's giving us the signal for how many minutes are
That's-
left in the segment, so that we
Two Heineken.
so that we wrap up and don't just keep rambling.
Isn't it what that means? Two Heineken? Isn't that how it started? You never seen the ad?
No.
The ad of the guy. He's like, how did this come around? He's like, and you see this guy at the bar. He's like talking to the bartender. He goes, yeah. All right. Ready?
Yep.
Okay, we are back in the kitchen at the Hot Stuff Society. I'm Terry Roturo, the chef in a hat. Co-hosting with me is Pamela.
Oh yeah.
Hello.
Happy to be here today.
You look a little bit better than Tom for some reason.
We've got the same nutty hair.
And you
though.
brought this gorgeous bouquet of flower from
I
your
know.
garden.
My yard
at
is
you.
in good shape right now.
I got a bazillion of these babies in my backyard too.
I
Kathy.
love this grass
Yeah.
seed head.
That's really nice. Very beautiful.
Terry's wife is a very talented florist. So if you got a special party coming up, I would call her.
Oh, let me put a plug. Flower Works. That's the name of the show. Name of the show of her business. Flower Works. I think it's flowerworks-seattle.com. Should know this. All right. I'm
She's
gonna-
lovely, and so are her bouquets.
Well, she did all the flower at Rovers, Luc, Lulay, and she does a lot of homes, and she still does the flower at the Grand Bistro in Kirkland. So if you want to see her arrangement, she's up there. All right, back to corn. Let's talk
Please.
about corn. What's your favorite way to eat corn? I mean, that's not fair because I think all of us like to eat many different ways to eat corn. But this time of year, it's nice, it's tender, it's ripe, and it's the last hurrah to get that kind of corn. So, first of all, white or yellow, it doesn't matter.
I love them both.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more the ripeness, I think, that it's been picked at the right time.
Right.
So it's got some sweetness. But this year, what was new for me was understanding that you could take it right off the cob and go into your skillet to caramelize it.
Right.
Because I grew up just boiling. But now you get a whole nother level of flavor and no oil.
No.
I've been doing it dry.
Yeah.
Is that
You
what
can-
you would recommend?
I would recommend, you can do it either way, but I would recommend also putting rub on it. You know, you take the veg rub from rub and you rub the corn in that and you put it in the oven at about 375 and you just put it in there for about 10 minutes. So it's going to seal everything together. Then you take that, saute it in some butter,
I was hoping there was going to be butter in
Sauteed
this
in some butter.
at some point.
with a little bit of onion. You take the onions, butter, you sweat the whole thing up, you add the corn back to that, and then you make a wonderful corn chowder.
Oh, that is a good pro tip for prepping it for
And
chowder.
then the key of that is you've already taken the husk. I mean, not the husk, the cob. Then you've taken the corn out of, and you blanch those in milk. You take the cob, you take it, you cut it in pieces, so then it fits in your pot. You don't want them to be still whole. You want to cut them in pieces so you don't take as much liquid. You take those corn, you cover it with milk, you bring it to a boil, and you cook it slowly into the milk. All the flavor from the corn is going to come out. It's going to flavor your milk, and you use that for your corn chowder
Or a flan
or anything. But the point is, you have corn plus corn equals corny. That is corny, isn't it? Uh-huh.
There is a lot of flavor left in that husk. So there's
Lots. There's a lot of milk in there. A lot of
the cob and
yeah.
the husk. So
so it's a good
but
way.
using milk I hadn't thought of.
Well, if you're making a chowder, why not?
Yeah.
You could use
just a
cream,
start.
you could milk, you could also use vegetable stock if you don't want to go into the dairy section, and saute your onions and corn in olive oil. Then you'll have a vegan, you know.
Let's go on to salads.
So, yeah, I'm
And
big. I
go
love
with
corn salad.
corn salad.
So, two ways. Number one, raw. I love raw corn when it has to be the
it has to
perfect
be
corn.
perfect.
Yeah, it has to be tender to the teeth and no skins, like chewing on skin, because that's what's coming up now. You're gonna have corn that's gonna be a little bit tougher as we move on. So you have to be careful with that. So make sure you pick your corn correctly. Just open the husk and check the corn, the kernel itself. But just peel it off, and then good technique to a little trick of the trade. When you do a corn on the cob and you want to take the corn off the cob, take a big bowl, the biggest bowl you have in the house. Take a smaller bowl, inverted, put your corn cob on there, and go like this. And you know what's going to happen? It's going to stay in the bowl. Because when you try to take the kernel off a corn with a knife on the
It
cutting
goes
board,
everywhere.
it's everywhere. You're going to be planting corn all over your kitchen.
Now you tell me at the end of summer, I've been sweeping my kitchen all summer, corn everywhere.
Well, that's a little trick of the trade that if you've never seen it or heard about it, and then the day you see it, you go, duh.
Of course.
It's like, of course, that's much simpler. That works for a lot of vegetable. When you're peeling vegetable, sometimes you're doing zucchini, cucumber, where it goes everywhere on your counter. Same thing. Use a bowl. Take the biggest bowl you have so you can work around it. Smaller bowl in the center, and then just go like this. It will stay in the bowl. Take that to the compost.
Brilliant.
All right. Corn. So corn salad. Salad this time of year, it's one of my favorite time to grill because it's not too hot outside. It's not 95 degrees. It's not middle of summer. So it's really fun to grill. And we have this harvest of vegetable. That's, you go to the farmer's market and you go from all the squashes have started, zucchini, the tomatoes are still in season. So you take half tomatoes and you grill them. You take the zucchini, you hack them lengthwise and you grill them too. Salt, pepper, do whatever you want on top of that for seasoning. But salt, pepper, and a little bit of olive oil, no flame. Just move everything on the side, the coal on the side, or turn on your barbecue, your gas barbecue to the highest point, and then turn off the middle, and grill, sear. You're trying to get some searing. That's all you're trying to do, right? So do that in the center. Onions are in beautiful shape. You can grill just about anything. And of course, corn on the cob, you can just do corn on the cob grilled, and then you can take the corns off to put into your salad. So you could do something like a ratatouille with corn, ratatouille, zucchini, onion, eggplant, peppers, tomato, and then corn. You could do, one of my favorite salad of all time is raw corn and blueberry, but I've talked about it on the show many times, and onion, and
Tom likes to remind us he has a recipe in his.
yes, I stole it from him.
Oh, good. You're giving him credit today when he's
I am.
not here.
I am.
That's amazing.
I'm giving him credit. I've always given him credit for that. It's one thing I stole from Tom Douglas. I just made it better. Live from Seattle. The truth comes out. No, I'm just kidding. No, I put my own twist to it a little bit.
Well, I just made it this week, and it's got a lemon vinaigrette that really pops up the corn and blueberry together. And in Tom's recipe, it's arugula and basil.
Yeah.
And what did you do to make it
So
better?
me, it's white onion, white vinegar, olive oil, salt, pepper, lots of basil, a little bit of tarragon,
Of course.
and then corn and blueberry.
Yeah. I think the tarragon is smart.
Yeah, I have
with
kicked tarragon a step up this year, and the only reason is because I always use tarragon, but normally I have a lot of anise up, and this year for some reason my anise up poo-pooed out. I think I picked it way too early, and I just took the whole branch out.
I know you
Didn't
brought
like
it to the show.
Oh yeah,
Must have killed the plant.
so
Sorry.
anise up is normally one of my go-to for that, but tarragon is, if you put a little bit of tarragon with basil, what it does is it basically enhances the basil, because basil has been a little bit weak for me this year.
Me too.
I had a lot of basil, but it was a little bit weak. So putting a few leaves of tarragon in your basil will enhance the flavor of that minty family kind of idea, what you're looking for. So just that for that. And what else? So the corn, once it's grilled, you can do just about anything. And when you turn on your grill, make sure you grill as much corn as you can, because corn that's already grilled does not go bad. You put it in your refrigerator, especially if you're going to take it off the kernel. I mean, off the kernel, off the cob. You're going to have this bowl of roasted corn or grilled corn into your refrigerator. And from that, you can do just about anything. You could make a pasta. You boil some water, you cook some pasta, saute some mushroom, add your corn, put that on top of a
It
pasta
seems
with a little grated
counterintuitive,
parmesan.
but it's so good with pasta.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So good.
absolutely. It's delicious with fresh pasta. Very, very, especially with mushroom, because you get that nutty flavor, that sweetness, everything gets added together. A little dash of red wine vinegar at the end when you finish to saute. So you have a little acid in there. Put all that on top of your pasta. You'll have a wonderful, maybe some sauteed arugula. We're talking about arugula earlier. Saute some arugula. So you have green, you have sweet, you have mushroom, woodsy mushroom.
That would
everything
be
together.
so attractive.
Yeah.
too.
It makes for a good pasta and a little grated parmesan on top. You're home. How simple can that be? Just
I'm going
corn.
to do a final shout out. My best salad combo was with avocado and feta and corn. 'Cause I love the saltiness of feta. And so then you don't have to salt your corn.
Right? Is it
and
grilled
then-
or just
No,
raw?
raw. It was
Wow, I'm going to try
gorgeous.
that.
Yeah.
Feta and corn.
Yep.
Cool. That sounds
With
delicious.
the avocado.
Yeah. All right. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Food and Wine magazine named Ji Hai. I hope I'm saying her name right. Ji Hai, one of the best new chefs in 2021. And she's on a mission to broaden the understanding of Korean cooking. This year, Chuseok, the Korean Mid-Autumn Harvest Festival, falls on September 10. That's tomorrow.
Very timely.
So we're going to learn all about it when we come back here on Caro 97.3 FM. Stay with us. That was a lot of talking. Woo. How about a snack?
No,
Oh,
thank you. I'll
kish me.
take one. Anyway, I forgot the quiches, goat cheese. Ooh, see, you're gonna be so strong and healthy today.
Oh, thank you.
And those are,
Oh, that melon.
Tom's wife runs our farm in Prosser in Eastern Washington, and that's her Hannah's Choice muskmelon.
My God, it's so good.
Beautiful nectarine. And a little bit of Thai basil.
Mmm.
Done a seal of approval, chef.
It's a 10. That melon is so delicious. It's perfect.
I went in and looked at the couche of everyone. In
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And did that make a difference?
Yes. So we found out, we were talking about the melon, how to pick a good melon in the store. And, you traditionally go for some weight and then get your thumb into the top where it comes off the vine. But we were recently told that another really good indicator is the couche, which is where the melon was sitting on the ground. Oh, people know this. This is new to me. And because you want to see that it was left to ripen long enough. And if there's no indicator, it was taken too early. Sean, you want to give her a call? Yeah. We have a 90% success rate with this call-in technique, but we were so excited to try to meet this chef because she's been recognized as the one that's really advancing Korean cuisine in the United States, and she has a restaurant in Ann Arbor, but we don't know her. So we'll see what happens.
It's Ann Arbor, Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello. Is it, am I going to say your name right? My name is Thierry Rothier. I'm the chef in the hat. And I'm the host
This is-
of,
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
I'm Tom Douglas co-host.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you. My name is Jihae.
Okay, that's okay. Tom is not here. He's actually in France. He ditched us for France. He went on vacation.
How amazing. I'm
I
jealous.
know.
And this is Pamela. We were in touch by text and email. Thank you so much for joining the call.
Hi, Pamela. Nice to finally hear your voice.
Yes, and are you at home in Ann Arbor this morning? It's your
I am.
afternoon.
Cool.
It's kind of afternoon. I'm at home hanging out.
We're all coming to your restaurant later today. We're going to jump on a flight and come see Miss Kim. How long has that restaurant been open?
Restaurant's almost 6 years old. Almost.
Oh,
It's going to be 6 years old in November.
oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think we
So I have a couple questions.
yeah segment.
Yeah, but hold on. How do you say your name?
Jihae, kind of like alphabet capital G and hey.
G-A.
Yep.
Thank you.
G-A Kim. And how do you say Chuseok?
Chuseok.
Chuseok.
Yeah, you got it.
Got it. All right. I just want to try to say things correctly before
Thank
I
you.
announce them on the show. All right. Okay. Well, we have a little segment. It's going to be, let me see, 10, it's about 10 minutes. So
Okay.
anything you want to tell us? Well, I'm going to ask you a few questions and you can educate us about Korean tradition, food, and your background too. Don't forget to mention your restaurant, where it is, and all that stuff.
And the Harvest Fest.
Okay.
And of course, the Harvest Fest is what we're calling for. So.
Of
All
course.
right. I look forward to this.
Take it
I'm ready.
away.
Okay. We are back in the kitchen at the Hot Stuff Society. All right. Our next guest, or guest today, because she's our next guest, but she's our guest. Her name is Ja Kim, and she's in Ann Arbor, Michigan. She has a restaurant called Miss Kim, and she's very, very famous. So please welcome to the show, Jay.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Jihae, you got it.
Ga. Okay, beautiful. I want to make sure I say your name right because my name is Thierry, and nobody can say it right. So I know
Thierry?
I know exactly how that goes. So yeah, I mean, people are always
We,
like calling me different names.
yeah, yeah, you and I are on the same boat in that way.
So, Pamela was looking through. Where did you find this? Food and Wine magazine.
She has an excellent publicist that contacted us
Oh,
and told us about the accolades that she received from Food and Wine magazine. And I actually have looked at some of her recipes and can't wait to dig in.
I know. So, what I was very interested in is the fact that number one, Korean food is, in Seattle, we're very privileged to have quite a few restaurants, Korean restaurants. But, in many parts of the country, it's not quite as popular. And I'm glad that somebody's taking the reign, like you, to bring us to the forefront, or bring it to the forefront, I should say. And but one interesting part was you're celebrating something this weekend. Am I right?
Yes. Like the entire weekend is a huge holiday for Korean folks, especially in Korea, but also for Korean Americans here. It's called Chuseok. It's a mid-autumn harvest festival.
Nice. So what does that entail? What do you do to celebrate that weekend?
Oh, well, traditionally, Korea used to be and still is a little bit outside of major cities an agricultural society. So it's a celebration of the harvest. And, Korean holidays, agricultural holidays are tied to the moon. So it's also a celebration of the biggest, most beautiful moon of the year in September.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of food involved and the village people coming together. And they have to come together for the harvest, but it's also a season of abundance. So there's a lot of cooking and eating together.
So is it like giant tables in the middle of the farm and everybody eats together?
Yeah, it's a giant table that everybody does sort of a communal eating. And it's also cooking all day. So I remember everybody sitting around making songpyeon, which is a sort of a stuffed rice cake that's steamed.
Uh-huh.
And my mother and my auntie baking chun, which is like a little pan fried goodie. So it could be pan fried vegetable, it could be pan fried fish. That's usually battered in some way. So yeah. And then I want to share one more dish with you. So another quintessential Chuseok dish is beef and taro soup. And I learned that taro is really good for digestion. So my ancestors are trying to aid your digestion for eating lots and lots of food during the holiday.
That sounds delicious. Beef, say it again. Beef and what?
Taro.
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 Taro?
Yeah. Oh man, that sounds delicious.
I'm surprised that to learn about the digestibility of it. That is unknown to me.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That was big in the 60s,
Yeah.
70s, I think.
And what
Yeah,
about
I food is medicine. So
Yeah. I'm with you. So what else do you so it's harvest time. So what vegetable, for example, do you harvest?
oh, well, I think it's a time to harvest like all the summer vegetables. So the climate in Korea is probably similar to Michigan or New York. Yeah, so very clear 4 seasons. They're harvesting all the summer vegetables, but more importantly, they're getting ready to harvest rice.
Mm.
So that's why the rice cake shows up prominently, because rice cake is actually it takes a lot of resources and labor, and this is one season that you can sort of freely make rice cakes more easily because all the new rice is coming up and there is an abundance of it.
So is there a difference between new rice and older rice?
Yeah, there's difference between new rice and old rice, the similar way that there's a difference between new harvest and old harvest of olive oil. So every culture is a little different. So some cultures really treasure properly aged rice, like I think jasmine rice, for example, or basmati rice. But for Korean folks, it's almost like a fresh ingredient or fresh grain. So new rice is a more treasured than older rice.
So does it cook faster? Is it more tender? I mean, I would, for some reason, the first thing that comes to my mind is fresh rice would be much more tender and cook much faster. Is that true?
Yeah, I would say that's true. I think it's more that like the subtlety of the flavors are more present.
Uh-huh.
But rice is good. Rice is good no matter what. I think it's
I'm with you on that.
yeah, rice is like life. But I think it's also that like there's so much of it because you just went to the harvest.
Yeah, this weekend I was in Los Angeles, or this week, and I had a garlic rice, sticky rice. It was probably one of the best garlic
Yum.
sticky rice I've ever had in my life. It had, underneath, it was the perfect crust, that little burn. It wasn't dry, it was a moist crust. I don't know how they did it, but it was perfect. And the garlic flavor was exactly how it should be, or at least what I like. It was unbelievable.
That sounds delicious. Delicious.
Yeah. It's a simple dish, but it's one of those simple dishes I think you find many different versions of in many restaurants. But
I agree.
when it's right, it's so incredible. So tell us a little bit more about your restaurant in Ann Arbor. It's called Miss Kim.
Yes, my restaurant is in Ann Arbor, Michigan, right at the heart of University of Michigan and all the Wolverine football. And it's called Miss Kim.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty close to the campus. We do like what I like to call Michigan Korean. So a lot of the dishes are inspired by the Korean traditions and my ancestors, and I look into that a lot. But I also have very close relationship with Michigan farmers because we have some of the best farmers and beautiful vegetables. And if you're here, and especially for a season like this, you want to take advantage of it. So you marry those two together and come up with something that's a little more unique.
Sounds delicious. So what are you going to do this weekend to celebrate Chuseok?
Yeah. So this weekend we have couple specials on the menu. So decent taro soup is going to make it on the menu. I'm going to try my best to put japchae on the menu, which is sort of like the glass noodles with vegetables. And I personally will make some dun, which is the battered pancake, whether that's a zucchini or chives and seafood. And then I'm going to look at the moon because it's about the harvest moon and celebration of it.
And you're going to play Neil Young Harvest Moon song at the same time. Do you know that?
Maybe, yes, I do. I do know. But maybe for music, we'll play something else.
All right. Well, our guest has been Jia Kim.
Jihae.
Jia,
you
sorry,
got it.
sorry. I knew I was going to mess it up somewhere.
Okay.
Jia Kim
Okay.
from Miss Kim in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And we wish you all the best of luck in your enterprise. And thank you so much for being on the show with us and educating us a little bit about Korean food and Korean tradition. We appreciate that very much. And all the best of luck.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been my pleasure.
All right. All the best.
Thank you. See
All
you
right.
later.
Coming up
Thank
next,
you.
we're going to talk about a Green Party politician in France told men to get over meat and masculinity for the sake of the planet, setting off a sizzling argument. Coming up next on Hot Stove Society radio show on Cairo 97.3 FM. Thank you so much, Jay.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
That was fun.
Yeah. No, thank you so much.
You.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Have a
All
wonderful,
right.
have a wonderful
good
weekend.
day.
Bye.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Well, she was. I mean, she's trained. I like it. Yeah.
No, for sure. It was definitely off the cuff. I'm still on my phone. Let me see.
Well, remember we had that issue like about a month or so ago?
Yeah.
And then we fixed it, but it's something to do with our router, which I don't have.
You don't know where it is?
I don't have that access.
You can just reset it.
Well, we're live.
Oh, then you would
everything.
have. I know.
We'd have other, yeah, we have to do it.
Don't do that now.
That's the only reason.
Are you
yeah.
on? Are you on?
Normally I'd get in there and.
It? Are you on it?
Yeah, that's why. I don't. Because it's thing where if you're not.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know.
Here, let me forget this network. And then we start again. Oh, yeah, I don't want the word. That's not my phone. Come back, I have $100 bill. That's okay. So at least I got the reception. TD-SSS. Oh yeah, it's asking me for the password now. Do you know the password? For TD. You know the password?
Yeah.
Because it probably is just a matter of resetting it.
What's that?
It's probably just a matter of resetting it.
So.
Okay.
Capital H 0. That's a plus sign. I don't know who.
It's like a small t. Or yeah, I think it's a plus sign. Well, where do you get this sign?
It's
What is this sign here?
it's this one, the 6.
Oh yeah. Wow. Shit, I've never used that before. That's a good sign. So this might not be a plus. Huh.
I think it's a lowercase t.
Is that what it is?
Small t.
Hell? Incorrect. Yeah, it's not working. I don't know what. It's okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna use my phone. Okay. Raw. Raw if it's nice and tender. Make sure it's not lots of skin because it's, corn can get. But if it's nice and tender, raw. Yeah, yeah. No problem. Okay, where is that article?
Do you want the? I have hard copy here.
Oh, you do?
So here we go.
I read it last night, but I can't remember the name of.
So the parliamentarian.
Yeah, yeah.
From the
Sandrine,
party
Sandrine
was
Rousseau.
yeah, was the one that made the declaration. But I don't know. I mean, entrecote is must be a whole. It could be a whole separate segment because they call it out.
No, no, no. We'll
Okay.
we'll bring it in now.
I know you will.
It's all good. It's all good. All right. Ready? No wasted time. How was breakfast, you guys? Big round of applause to Chef Annie. Chef Annie! She's hiding over there. She's shy.
Did you think the Thai basil is too strong, or just okay? Okay. One of our favorite.
I have a
family-
recommendation.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. Sometimes it's a bit stronger, especially Thai basil. All you have to do is slice it thin and sprinkle it so you don't have big bites. You have
Yes.
Smaller bite.
I wanted to chiffonade, but my knife work was not good today.
But it's another way to get around when you have things that are pretty strong and you want to add them to, let's say a fruit salad or whatever, like mint, for example. Mint does that a lot. You take a whole leaf of mint, it's way too much for anybody's mouth. That's why you julienne it or you sizzle it. You just cut it so then it's not such big bite and it does what you're trying to do, which is just give a little hint of mint to your melon or to your salad. And that's usually the reason why. Same with tarragon, same with things like thyme, rosemary. That's why you chop them fine so then it sprinkles and you don't end up with a big chunk of it. Nobody wants to chew on a piece of rosemary. No one. It's going to remind you of the pledge. Shh.
Rosemary came before pledge.
Actually, it did. That's how they made pledge. I'd like some pledge in my salad, please. Okay. Sorry, you were going to say something. I'm sorry, I cut you off. You were going to say something?
Onward.
All right. Annie, thank you. It was delicious. Okay. Ready for the second hour?
No,
You guess. What do you
this
mean
is
no?
our
Oh.
fourth segment.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. I was ahead of myself. I thought we were already done.
I know you thought we were ahead of schedule.
And you didn't say anything. Oh. Wait. I'm confused. Something is not right here. No. Oh, yeah. No, it is right.
He hates that.
No, I like when it's right. I don't like when it's wrong. All right. We are back in the kitchen at the Hot Stove Society. In case you don't know, we're located at the Hotel Andra, corner of 4th and Virginia. 4th and Virginia.
Yes.
For some reason I thought that was the wrong address. Right across the street from the Dahlia Bakery and of Tom's Famous Pizza.
Serious Pie right across the street.
Exactly.
And,
And Lola at the corner downstairs. And we are here at the Hot Stove Society, which is, to me, I've been around the world in cooking school and cooking classes, and I think this is one of the hottest, best cooking class ever.
thank you.
It's a great spot, and it feels so at home when you're here trying to learn how to cook, or even just bring a party with your family or member of your office or whatever. It's totally cool to be here, and it feels really, really comfortable.
Last night we had a group of financial planners, and they chose our salmon and all the fixings menu. So traditionally we break them up into pods, and each group does a different item for the completed dinner. And they were so blown away that it came out so delicious, even though they made it. Sean, wasn't it? They were perfect last night. Yeah, and it was so interesting because it's people that hadn't ever been together in person, that just knew each other over Zoom for the last 2 years. So to be able to cook and eat together and sit down in community, it's really
I
nice.
must say, it tastes a lot better when you're actually in it versus in Zoom.
Yeah.
You can smell it, you can touch it, and you can eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, we're going to be talking about a segment you found in the New York Times, I believe, about a big thing going on in France, a big topic. This lady, Sandrine Rousseau, who's a member of the parliament, she's actually the head of the Green Party in France. She came up with a saying or with something saying that, what is that exact saying here?
We
She's-
have to change our mentality. So eating a barbecue entrecote is no longer a sign of virility. She wants French men to stop eating so much meat
She did definitely
to
targeted
save the
French men.
planet.
So strangely enough, I mean, okay, so this lady is making the statement. Strangely enough, everybody across the board, no matter what party, every man went like in uproar. Like, how dare you touch the entrecote? You know, the barbecue, the blah, blah, blah. And it was like, what's going on here? Why is it such a big deal? Number one, moderation in everything should be where everything starts, right? Or at least that's my belief. And that's Julia Child's belief too. Everything in moderation. So that's so my concept would be, we don't have to stop eating necessarily entrecote, but we don't need to eat it at every meal. And we also can't have the whole country eating entrecote. So we need to balance up our society and balance up our meals. Other than that, I mean, yes, it would be great if we didn't have to raise cows and sheep and any animals that requires and emit a lot of gases, because we know now that it's bad for the planet, whatever. Same with people. I mean, let's start with us. We need to be the example of the planet as far as I'm concerned. So
Well, she was very taken aback at how the country erupted in
well, the men.
the men.
There was not many
Uh,
women that came forward and said no to that, but it was all the men, every party across the board. For some reason, they got together this time and all agreed on one thing: don't touch my steak. So for those of you who don't know, an entrecote is like a primary steak, ribeye steak. That's what it is. And in France, you've seen it probably if you've been to France, anywhere in France, in cafes or bistros. It's a very common steak frit, can be done with many different cuts, but the entrecote is actually usually served with a beurre maître d'hôtel, which is compound butter with, butter that you mix with fresh herbs, parsley, garlic, salt, pepper, and you slice it and you put it on top of your entrecote as soon as it comes off the grill, so that butter melts right on top of your steak, and you have that with frites, French fries. So it's a very,
I
very
want that.
oh, right now it sounds delicious, especially when you start going into Charolais, Charolais, which is a type of beef we have in France. It makes some pretty darn good steak.
Is it
So
highly marbled?
no, I mean yes, it's marbled, but not like Kobe beef or anything like this. It's not. It's marbled, but not to the point where it's over marbled or more marbled. It's just like a good ribeye steak, a very good ribeye steak. Who doesn't like that? I mean, once in a blue moon, it's a great treat. But again, this whole conversation came upon somebody who's saying, "Stop eating beef,
So
or
much meat.
so much meat." So the planet can be better. Obviously, she's from the Green Party, so it's all about that. But the fact that everybody else came in uproar is a little bit. It's so French, so French.
So this
Don't touch my food.
her retort was, if you want to resolve the climate crisis, you have to reduce meat consumption, and that is not going to happen so long as masculinity is constructed around meat. But their argument got even more heated because a member of the Communist Party, the Secretary General, came back and said, meat consumption, this is so
I know.
good, is a function of what you have in your wallet, not in your panties or your underpants. So making it more of a classist issue instead of a sexist issue, which I think puts
Well,
a
I mean,
pretty
it
fine
is true
point
that
on it.
a ribeye steak is expensive. It's not. It's not
Yes.
a cheap piece of meat. That's what, to me, I think it's a treat. It's not something you eat every day unless you can afford it and you want some. And then if you can afford it, and yeah, it becomes an everyday. So that is a good point, and it is definitely based on the wallet, for sure. But in France, and I don't know if it's true, but in the same article, they mentioned that 59% of the men eat more meat than women. So, again, it's not a man versus woman. It's just a frame of mind. There are other things besides meat to eat. I'm 100% for that because I'm perfectly capable of coming up with another 100 item besides meat.
Well, you were just in France before this uproar started.
Yeah.
And were you already sensing that maybe the population is moving to a less meat dependent diet?
Well, I think I think it goes back to that wallet story. I think that things are getting expensive, and prices have risen, and the whole global economy. I mean, everything is rising in prices. So yes, there is a slow change into that, and I also think that the awareness is strong, very strong in France in terms of constantly getting the Green Party and everybody else talking about climate change, and they see it. I mean, this summer was a hell for France. It was like the second worst summer ever in history.
Yeah.
In fires and all these different things that happened. So people are aware, and France is not a big country. It's a very small country when you put it in context of the US. So, they definitely have a lot of awareness in terms of what's going on the planet. So, yes, things are changing slowly but surely. But I would still say that a good entrecôte bordelaise with some French fries on the side.
Once a month.
Well, oh no, maybe not once a month, but at least a couple times a year. Once a month. We're going 12 times a year now. That's a lot. No, but I mean, once in a blue moon. And by the way, you go to France, what are you going to eat? You're going to eat an entrecôte with frites in the cafe with a glass of red wine, sitting on the counter or
Yes, please.
sitting at the counter or sitting on the patio, watching the people go by. I mean, that's a tradition.
Do you have a suggestion for people who are trying to reduce their meat consumption for another umami satisfying center of the plate experience?
Well, there are many animals that are much smaller than cows, for example, or beef, and that we don't use as much, like guinea fowl, like chicken, like duck, like other birds, for example, that don't use as much and can yield some very delicious food. And in many parts, from the legs to the breast to the to the neck to whatever. I mean, there's many different parts. All it is we need to diversify our diet. That's the biggest problem we have as human beings on this planet is we eat basically beef, chicken, pasta, and we eat the same thing over and over. So we need to diversify and expand on other things that are on the planet. That's all.
Exactly. Word to the wise.
All right. Coming up in the next hour, what are we going to talk about the next hour, Pam?
Korean fried chicken with Chef Annie. You and I are going to talk about how much we love couscous. And we have some really nice audience questions.
All right. Stay with us on the break. Come back and see us in about 10 minutes. We're here on Caro 97.3 FM. And I like it's 20 minutes. 20-minute break.
Anybody have any tips on how you're moving away from meat for every meal?
But wait, first of all, you should ask the first question. Are you guys moving away from meat? Because most people are like, hell no. No, I just think to me, it should not be looked upon as a big deal. It's just like anything else in life. You know, when you were younger, you didn't go out to 3-star restaurants because you couldn't afford it. When you're older, hopefully you can afford to go once in a while or whatever. It's just like anything else in life. It's evolution. We've evaluated, and we're at a point, I think, where very aware of what's going on in terms of the planet, and there is some changes we need to make to our habits. It's quite simple, you know, and if you don't make them, nothing will change. If we don't make them, nothing will change either. But if everybody thinks exactly like that, nothing will change, and we'll go towards something that will not be so nice. So, and this is not, to me, this is not as much politics. It has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with just awareness. You know, I want my grandchildren to have a place to be. They're not even born yet. So think about that. They're not even born, and we're already in the chain.
You're already worried about
We're already in the chain of disaster coming up. So we definitely have to change our habits. And again, who doesn't like a good steak on the grill? I mean, obviously, it's a splurge. It's a gorgeous thing. But there are other things, and I encourage anyone to explore. And one way to explore is to try different culture, because they're already doing it, and they do it well. Here we don't have the habits to eat as much. Like I was mentioning, guinea fowl or rabbit or duck, you know, things that we go, oh, I could never eat a rabbit. Well, guess what? If you were hungry and there was nothing else, you would eat the darn rabbit because you get found and he doesn't. That's how it works. And I mean, rabbit is a delicious meat. It's very lean, highly reproduced, and it does very little impact. Why not? It's a gorgeous meat. And also, we need to slice down the size of the meat from 8 ounces to 4 ounces. Cut it in half. And then decorate your plate with what's called vegetables. Because it's actually a lot better for you. Say what? Mad lamb. What's for dinner? No, I think it's you know, when usually you take a plate and you should be able to do 30, 30, 30, and whatever that means, be 100. But you know what I'm saying.
Math is not chef forte.
You should have starch, vegetable. I mean, you don't even need to have starch, but if that's what you want, you can have starch, vegetable, and then protein. And your protein should not be more than 35% of your plate. That should be the most you should have on your plate.
I'm
And
eating a lot of rockfish.
Okay, so rockfish.
4 ounces
Hold on,
per
hold
ounce.
on.
4 ounces.
It's also important that you don't go on a binge like we always do in this country. We go on a binge of like, okay, I'm going to eat nothing but steak. It's like, no, you can't just eat steak. Same with rockfish. Rockfish takes 25 years to mature
Oh,
and start reproducing. So you need to make sure you pick the right rockfish.
my fishmonger is helping me with that.
So, right? Things like this is very important to know. Now, salmon from Bristol Bay, 63 million fish came back this year. Eat salmon, wild salmon. This is what we should be eating here,
Salmon is
living in the
perfect.
Pacific Northwest. Things that we have in abundance, and there is not much of it left compared to what it used to be. But, you know, you eat what's available in abundance in season. Then you won't be screwing up the planet because it's not forcing itself to produce things at the wrong time, right? Little basics.
Cut
Thank
down
you.
on your rockfish, Pam.
But the best example is I grew up on a farm, just a small farm, 40 acres. My grandparents were farming and all that stuff. And you know what? You don't ask questions, but you see it every single day. You don't even think about it, but it's there. You grow up with the season. You eat with the season. And that's how I know. To me, what things taste like when they're ripe, or I know when to eat them, because I grew up with it. You don't eat beets in August. At least not when I was a child. We ate them much later in the winter. We didn't eat the I don't know. You don't eat potatoes in February. You eat them in the new potatoes start coming up in
Right now.
April, May. No, May is when the new
Oh, the
pot-
spring, the new
the
spring.
new potatoes, which was we always look forward to those little potatoes. Oh, so delicious, tender, sweet. Oh my God, so good. Oh, anyway, things like this, and same with the grain. You go harvest. You know when the harvest is because you're in it. And so on and so forth. So
On with the show.
on with the show.
May I make a request?
Yes.
The questions are very good. I'd like to get to all of them if possible and not do trivia.
Not wait. Not do trivia.
Hmm
We're gonna have mutiny on the bounty here.
I know, but I think these questions deserve our attention.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah,
So-
more talking, chef.
So
Oh.
change the intro.
yeah. Oh, I remember.
Okay.
I'm gonna intro like we don't do trivia today. I'm just kidding. Well, maybe
Everybody, we are so lucky that Chef Annie is with us this morning. You really need to come to one of her classes because she is hilarious and fierce and an excellent chef from whom I'm learning a lot. So,
All right. We are back in the kitchen. Thank you so much for staying with us. We're starting our second hour roaring out of the kitchen. We're at the Hot Stove Society in the Hotel Andra, 4th and Virginia, downtown Seattle. Glorious downtown Seattle. And it's very lively this Friday morning. We're live on YouTube, tomdouglas.com. Click on YouTube and you'll see us live. All right, next we
treat.
have Chef Annie coming up. Chef Annie is this wonderful chef that cooks here every day at the Hot Stove Society. She directs everyone. She made our breakfast this morning. How was breakfast?
All right.
Wonderful quiches, melons. Oh, great breakfast. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Welcome to the show. And then we're going to talk to you about Korean fried chicken.
Yes.
So that's your specialty?
That's not my specialty, but it is something that is on the rise.
On the rise.
there are joints serving
Yeah,
it popping
joint
up
is-
all
yeah,
over.
Yeah. So like 10 years ago, let's say 10 or 12 years ago, there's only maybe one place that up north, like pretty up north, that serve Korean fried chicken, and not even many people know about it. Only Korean people know about it. And then recently, like Pok Pok, I don't know if you heard of
Yeah.
them, but he opened up a joint in White Center, and then he start having a few more places open up too, up on Capitol Hill. I don't know if there's another one that he's open, but and then after he started that Pok Pok joint, and I think a lot of people kind of jump on the train to make Korean fried chicken more well known.
Right.
And so when I was talking to one of our cooks yesterday, he eats a lot up on Capitol Hill, which I don't anymore. I have a kid, so I go to bed at 8 o'clock. Capitol Hill is for young people, not for a
I
young
love
mother.
that. And then when I look at you, I'm looking at you look like a 12-year-old.
I
I'm like,
know.
like young people. I'm like, what's young anymore if
yeah.
you're not young?
You're ancient.
Thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pyramids were not there when I started.
Yeah. So yeah, he was like telling me like, oh, do you know this joint up on Korean fried chicken up on the Capitol Hill? Which I was like, no, I don't. And so for him, who is not in the food industry that long and know about Korean fried chicken, So that's, to me, it is something on the rise, and more people know about it now, and a lot more people are excited to try it. Or the things like people really fear of frying chicken at home or frying anything, period. So I feel like this class is an opportunity for them to learn it. And if they do want to venture out and try it, they can. I do want to give the credit to Chef Kenji. I'm stealing his recipe.
Kenji Lopez.
Yes. I did a lot of research on Korean fried chicken because it's a little bit different than Southern fried chicken, where the shell on the outside is supposed to be like glass. It's like really thin and super super crispy, and it's a batter, not a dredge. Um, and it's supposed to be almost like when you bite into it, it's like you biting into glass. Not
Really?
like it won't hurt your mouth or anything,
right,
but
right,
it's
right.
just like that crispiness.
Like a hot caramel.
Yeah, it's like super crispy but super light. And his recipe is that I don't know if he wrote this called foolproof pie dough in the past for um, the test America Test Kitchen,
Uh-huh.
and he used vodka, and that helps. So when you bake it, the vodka has such a high percentage of alcohol, it evaporates immediately. So it leaves you this super crusty
Mm.
crust. So it leaves those layers, rather than using water, because water doesn't evaporate fast enough. So what it does is
Oh.
absorb back into the gluten. So he kind of used that same method into this fried chicken batter thing. So when it hits the fryer, that evaporates, but he uses both, like half water and half vodka. So there's still somewhat moisture in there to
Right.
hold the gluten together, but not enough where it will become gooey. But it leaves it this super crispy crust on the outside.
The
So
science is
Oh,
what we all
absolutely.
have to thank Kenji for. Is
Yeah.
that he's taking us to that next level of why the recipe
Yeah,
works.
and like the pH level, like different and stuff
Sure.
like that.
The acid
So
and everything.
yeah, I copy and paste this whole huge article. I shrunk it down to, from I don't know how many pages to 3 pages. So it's my homework to read tonight, so I can
3 page
know.
for a fried chicken.
For fried
Yeah, for
chicken.
fried chicken. Yeah. So
Wow.
that's gonna be my nighttime read tonight, so I can know what I'm talking about tomorrow.
So when is that class?
It's tomorrow.
It's
Saturday.
tomorrow. It's brunch from
Oh,
11
it's already
to 1.
done.
Yeah.
It's booked, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
we can't wait to see it again. You're gonna do it again, right?
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't like to commit to the same class again until I know I can, make it successful.
Sure.
And of course, if it is and it runs smoothly and logistic wise, everything comes together nicely, then either we change up a little bit and do it again.
So just so I understand this correctly, what makes it Korean fried chicken is the
Yes.
batter.
Yeah, it's the batter and the crispy batter, thin, crispy batter.
Okay.
Yeah,
As opposed to
dredge.
dredge.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what about the frying?
Uh, so usually you do either a whole chicken or breast or wings. But I was reading a lot more about it. What makes Korean fried chicken? So like for us, fried chickens either dinner or breakfast for some folks, but Korean fried chicken, they don't eat it at a meal. It's an after meal snack. So you eat that
Oh.
after your meal. So
Here goes the neighborhood.
yeah.
I'll have chicken for dessert.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so that's really interesting to me to see the culture on how they incorporate that Korean.
So that's not part of a meal.
No.
I was expecting like some beautiful kimchi and some.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, there's 2 different types of sauces. So you toss it with a sauce
Right. And what's the
rather
sauce?
than a sauce on the side. So 2 types of sauces you can do. You can do a sweet savory sauce, which
Uh-huh.
is like a soy base with mirin and ginger and stuff like that. Similar to kind of teriyaki in a way. And another one is a spicier one, which is gochujang, the Korean chili flakes, still honey, still soy, still sweet and spicy and
Right.
salty in that way. But it's really,
So this
really
is
spicy.
a dipping sauce, not a.
No, this is a sauce you toss in with the
Really?
wings.
Toss.
Yeah.
So you fried it crispy.
It's almost like buffalo wings in a way.
So it's like crispy glass, crispy,
Yep.
and then you toss them into that
Mhm.
sauce.
Hmm.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah. So it's very, very.
Well, what sounds good is because it's not gonna soak up
No.
the breading because the
it's
batter is actually
yeah.
crisp.
Yeah, that's why it's like the batter is so crucial on this. It needs to be so thin and so crispy that it could withstand the sauce when you toss in there.
That is a
That's-
distinguishing factor.
Yeah.
I know that's really cool. That's very very cool. I can't wait to try that.
I don't know if you
I
can
just
though.
had a great fried chicken in Santa Monica this week, and
There you
uh,
go.
a
It's
fried
the
chicken
rage.
fried chicken sandwich. And I never eat fried chicken. Last
Yeah,
time I
me
had fried
neither.
chicken was when Tom Douglas took me to KFC for the first time
I
in
know
my life.
that's like his favorite
And
thing,
that was
which is
3 years
so
ago.
weird. I know. He's like, oh, I just went to work out and then I went and grabbed a Korean fried chicken sandwich. Like, didn't you just cancel out everything you worked for or even gain
That's why he
more
goes
weight?
work out.
Yeah,
He doesn't want to just be behind. He wants to be
I know.
like even.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah,
Are
I
you
understand that.
using all the parts of the chicken or just
So, traditionally you either just use the wings, or they don't really like using white meat. It's usually dark meat, but I'm gonna do both just so that way people can experience the white and the dark. I'm doing thighs, with skin and bones in, wings, drumsticks. So I did break down the whole chicken, and then I also did the breast without the skin, just so that way, it's funny. People are like, oh, I want to be healthy. I'm only eating chicken breast, but like in a fried form. I hate to tell you this, but you're only like cutting down 50 calories. Weight Watcher would not let you do that. But I mean, I just still want, like I said, Kenji's article, he was talking about, like white meat and dark meat. So he's like, oh, go with dark, don't go with white. And I want people to see that and,
See the difference. No,
yeah.
that's cool. That's very
Yeah.
educational.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for teaching us
Yeah.
about Korean fried chicken.
You're
I'm
welcome.
excited and I can't wait to try that.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank
coming
you,
up
Annie.
next,
Thank you.
we're going to be talking about couscous, Israeli versus small couscous. Here you go, on 97.3 FM. Sorry, Annie, I had to cut you off. We were at the end of the timing.
Uh-huh.
See, she's blaming me now.
It is all about
We do have a clock to go by somehow.
Everybody doing okay?
Pretty good? We are back in the kitchen at the Hostel Society Radio. We are in the Hotel Handra, 4th and Virginia, downtown, lively Seattle.
I like to remind people when you sign up for a class here or the show, there's a link that takes you to a discount to stay at the hotel. It's real
Ooh,
pretty.
A little
So there's
staycation.
a little staycation. So
That's nice.
next time you come back, check in on Thursday night, get all cozy, eat at Lola, and then join us for breakfast.
And come to the radio show upstairs,
Yeah,
and then
just right.
have a nice class on Friday afternoon, and then stay another night.
Go to the market,
Go to the market on Saturday,
walk to the waterfront.
walk to the waterfront, and then go home. Or
Nice.
stay for dinner and then go home on Sunday. Anyway, our next topic of conversation, Pam, you put Israeli couscous versus Moroccan couscous.
Yes. And I know in your restaurants, you've always had very creative harissa based or laced versions of couscous. And
Uh-huh.
we haven't talked about this in depth. So I didn't know if you were a fan of the more traditional small size or I have just
I've used
learned
both in my
you
life
have the
for
larger.
different usage, different purposes, all the way up to. So first, Israeli couscous, bigger bowl. It almost looks like a big tapioca. If you know what tapioca grain looks like. Couscous is a pasta. It's rolled. It's basically a dough, and it's rolled. It's hand rolled. It's hard to believe that those small grain, those small. It's not a grain. It's a pasta, but those small little things are actually hand rolled. They're put through a mesh that comes out round on the other side. That's how they do it now. But in the old days, it was hand roll. So good luck on that one. But the big couscous, the Israeli, what's called the Israeli couscous on the market, is something I use for salads mostly. That's always the way my brain works in terms of stew or salad. And then the small couscous, like Moroccan, we call it Moroccan. It's not just Moroccan. All North African countries use it even more than just in Africa. So, but the small grain couscous, I use it mostly for garnishes on two dishes, not so much as a salad, much more as a dish, as a side dish.
Yeah, it wouldn't take a salad treatment because of its fineness.
Yeah,
and size.
it has a tendency to bulk,
Yeah.
to stick together. So there are a few tricks. Number one, often enough when you come home, you're like, oh, what am I going to make? Talking about diversification of diet. You come home and you say, oh, I don't have much time to cook. I'm just going to make some pasta. Now you know how to make pasta. You've made it a million times. You boil some water and you cook some pasta and you have a base for dinner, right? Same thing with couscous. People don't think of couscous, but fine grain couscous takes no time to cook. You take some either vegetable stock, chicken stock, water, whatever liquid you want to use, the better the stock, the better the flavor, obviously, you're adding to your couscous. But you could even do tea. I've done tea in the past where you do a jasmine tea.
That is brilliant.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll take that and I'll leave now. No,
Using tea as your cooking
or
liquid.
hibiscus tea, for example. And then you bring it to a boil and you pour it over the couscous. You cover it up. In 6 minutes, you have a cooked couscous. The key from that is to take some olive oil, drizzle it, and take a fork and fork out your couscous so it detaches from being a mass. Gently, just fluff it. Basically, it's fluffing your couscous.
It really needs that.
But don't be
fluff and
shy on the
shape.
olive oil. It's your secret to just keep it fluffy. And then season it. You should have your seasoning on top of your couscous before you pour the liquid. But it takes, in 10 minutes, you have cooked couscous. Now, what I like to do on the side is to do all the ingredients are going to go into my couscous as a stew on the side. So the couscous is on the counter. It's going to take 10 minutes to be done, right? On the side, I have a saute pan, and I'm sauteing onions, mushroom, all kind of things, tomatoes, whatever you want to put in there. Saffron. I love saffron in couscous. So if you put grains of saffron, what do you call it?
Very elegant.
It's not grain of saffron. What do you call those?
Threads.
Threads of saffron into your couscous. And you use, for example, a vegetable stock or a chicken stock that's being brought to a boil, salt, pepper into your couscous, threads of saffron, and then you pour that over your couscous. And it's usually 2-to-1 is plenty enough. So 2 liquids, 1 solid. And then you fluff up the whole thing after 10 minutes and you get this wonderful saffron. That's a great way to use saffron because it flavors without, obviously, don't put a pound of saffron in there. Saffron is very delicate and very strong in flavor. So just put a few of those. And then you have this wonderful base. And then from that, you could have carrots in the oven already roasting with a little bit of honey and toasted coriander. And you could have sauteed on the stove. You could have mushroom. You could have, like I said, zucchini, onions, whatever you want to do for vegetable on top of the stove. And then once everything is cooked, you take everything and you put it into your couscous, and you only use the amount of couscous that you want for that night and keep the rest for the next day. The next day, you can do something completely different. You could, I've done couscous with cheese. I've done couscous with many different things, but it's an easy one to do. It's easy to warm it up, and it's easy to use. And that's a fine couscous. On the Israeli couscous, what I like to do is to just bring it to a boil, cook it, and
Wait.
first I toast it. First I put it on the sheet pan in the oven, toast it, then I cook it.
I think that makes a huge difference.
Huge difference.
Toasting it.
And bring it to a boil and then cool it off. And then now I have a base. And think of it as a pasta salad. Pasta salad in the way that you cook your pasta first, and then they're cooled down, right? Same kind of principle in your head. Think of this as, now what am I going to do? So you could do cucumber, tomato, onions, olives, and then you toss the whole thing together with some fresh herbs, lots of fresh herbs, parsley, cilantro, little lemon juice, olive oil, and you've got this wonderful salad on your hand. It's a couscous salad. You bring that to any party, you're going to be a hit. Guarantee you. This, this time of year, we also have the end of the watermelon season.
Wait a minute. Couscous and watermelon?
Couscous,
You're
watermelon,
crazy.
tomato, onions, feta.
Well,
like
if
a
it's
Greek
got
salad.
feta in it, I'm in.
Greek salad with,
Couscous.
yeah,
Ah.
and then lots of tarragon, cilantro.
I think it's a theme today.
tarragon,
Tarragon.
cilantro, parsley. No, I mean basil, all your herbs that you need to use now that are in your garden.
I'm very much excited about the Bob's Red Mill couscous,
Sure.
Israeli couscous. It's a wonderful product, and it's a guarantee that you're going to have a delicious dinner if you've got a bag of that in the pantry.
And it's local. Bob's. I
And
mean,
employee owned.
sure, even better.
But watermelon, you're throwing me there.
Well, the watermelon is because this weekend we're going to have a hot weekend. So probably the last hot weekend we're going to have. Good time to do this watermelon and melon and all those beautiful summer fruit that are refreshing and everything. Put that into your salad. Finish it up. Next week we'll be starting on pumpkins. No, just kidding. Not quite yet, but you guys know what's coming up, right? We're going to be eating pumpkin for a while. Butternut squash till March. So don't rush into it, but get rid of your watermelon and enjoy the tomatoes for the next few weeks. This is the perfect time of the year in Seattle to eat those local, fresh, ripe tomato, canned, frozen. Do everything you can to keep as much as possible with you for the next few months because they taste really delicious on Thanksgiving. That's all I'm going to say. All right, coming up next, we have questions from our audience. All these people have put questions on pieces of paper, and
They're good ones.
Pam is threatening to get rid of the trivia today, which please do call the hotline if you have any crisis with that. We have a hotline you can call.
But we're looking forward to your answers to these seething questions.
All right. Stay with us on Cairo 97.3 FM. It's a Hot Stuff Society radio show.
Any couscous fans out there? Yeah.
How many of you have cooked? I'm going to say it again. How many of you have cooked couscous before?
Okay.
Oh, most of you are
We've
good.
got a talented audience.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you're very confused by the time you eat. You're like, which one is which? No, it's good. No, and if you have kids, couscous is great. Lunchbox, couscous salad, hot stuff.
Yes. Game changer. I do it in the skillet, but you said oven
You can do it in the oven because you can have your oven on for the carrot, ginger,
for
whatever.
roasting.
I was just thinking of my oven is already on. So when I turn my oven on or when I turn my grill on, barbecue, I always expand. I never think of one item because it's a waste of energy, time, and everything. If I'm going to turn my oven on, I try to think about what else can I burn in this house. I mean, that's what I think. I'm like, what else can I burn? I got this problem at 5 years old. I burned a barn on the farm, so it's always stayed with me. I like fire. No, but if you're going to turn on the gas, the oven, try to think. You always have many things you can do with heat, which, if it's not on, it's a pain in the neck. You can turn but think of other things you can do. Like, for example, if you're going to make a cake, think of toasting the nuts before you do anything because your oven is on. So toast the nuts and toast the flour.
What?
Toast your flour.
Whoa.
Toast your flour. It's so
What are you
good.
talking
It add a
about?
nuttiness to your flour that you don't have with raw white flour.
Man.
No. This is why I get paid the big bucks.
Even for a cake, you would toast it?
Oh, I would toast for anything. If my oven is on, I'm toasting.
So how long does flour? Are you just waiting for
Oh,
the smell?
okay,
to
so just so
change?
we're clear, you don't need to have the oven on to toast your flour. You can do it in a pan over the fire.
Uh-huh.
But if my oven is on, I'm going to toss it in there and I'm going to give it a little color, blonde color. And then it's going to have this nuttiness that you don't have. And especially if you're using baking powder and baking soda, that's the pump. You don't need to worry about, oh, the flour is not going to rise my cake. Don't worry about that. If you're putting baking powder, it's pumping up. You
It's
don't have to
gonna
worry about
happen.
it. Yeah, it's going to rise anyway. So, all right. Was that good? Was that educational? Everybody's going to go home and burn the flour.
I could just smell.
No,
the
but
rancid
listen, if you're
burnt
doing
flour in my
if you're
kitchen
doing
tomorrow.
if you're doing a roux or if you're doing a chowder or if you're doing anything that's going to require flour, if you're doing a, like for example, boeuf bourguignon, traditional beef stew, wine beef stew, right, in France, you put a little flour over the meat and everything. In my restaurant, we always had a sheet pan of toasted flour, always. For anything we were going to use to sprinkle flour over something, like to thicken the sauce or whatever. We didn't do sauces that were thickened, but for the stew of the boeuf bourguignon, we always put a little bit of flour on top of the meat. And instead of having the flour cooking in the pan, burning the bottom, blah, 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 you toast your flour first.
Like what?
Guess what? Just save a step and it tastes better. Just saying.
Oh boy.
All right. Do you get those questions?
Oh boy.
Oh boy, she's making it sound like it's going to be dreadful.
No, it's exciting.
Oh, exciting, okay.
They're insightful.
Oh, really?
But I think it gives us more opportunity to hear your orientation to cooking because they're about you.
Uh-oh. It's all about me.
You love that.
No, not necessarily, no. We have other things to talk about. Okay, we are back in the kitchen at the House of Society. We have a segment that is, I'm impressed. We have a member of the audience, all of them, wrote
Submitted
questions on a
questions.
piece of paper to ask me
Yes.
and you.
Yes. You.
Or me.
Yeah.
Okay, me only. Okay. All right, shoot.
Ready, set, go.
Let's go.
Dear beloved, most incredible chef.
Right. Are you making
I'm
that up?
not. No.
Who
I'm
wrote that?
not trying to butter you up. Could you please, step by step, tell how to make your liver pate? Since Luke is gone, I'm heartbroken and thinner, but more heartbroken. And any tips on the aspic would be appreciated as well.
All right. So what? Who's this?
Mary Jo.
Mary Jo. Thank you. What Mary Jo is mentioning is at Luke we used to serve a chicken liver mousse, and we made it from day one. And the reason I made it was because that to me that was the epitome of a French cafe bistro. I was like, oh, we need to have a chicken liver mousse. I know that some people will go, oh, I can't eat that. But just so you know, the recipe is very simple. Make sure you remember this. This is my grandmother's recipe. Never changed it. Very straightforward. Chicken liver. 1 pound of chicken. Well, for me, you don't have to do 1 pound, but the bottom line is it's 1 pound of chicken liver raw, 1 pound of butter, salt, and that's it. We stop right there. So you take the raw liver, you put them in the food processor, you blend them. You have your butter that's melted but not hot, just softened down liquid, but not hot, as in no more than room temp. You pour that over the liver. You blend the whole thing together. You put it in a terrine mold, in a mold, in a water bath, in the oven at 300 degrees. Your oven is preheated. 300 degrees. It takes 20 minutes to 30 minutes max to cook, but it depends how thick you have your terrine mold. 30 minutes, you put a blade into the thing and you see when it's dry, that's cooked. And then you take it out. Oh, I'm sorry. You cover it up with aluminum foil and you tent it up. Do you know what that means? So you put an aluminum foil piece on top of your dish and you put a hole in the middle, in the top, and you move the foil up so it forms a tent. The reason you do this is so all your water steam comes back on the side, not into the mold of the terrine. Because if you do it don't do the tent, it will fall back in the center, and you will never be able to cook your chicken liver because it will keep getting water. Get it? on the bain-marie, on the water bath. Yeah, so you take a pan, a deep pan, put water in it, put your mold in it with the chicken liver mousse in it, and then you tent it up with, you put a piece of foil tight, then you take a blade in the middle and you gently lift up the foil. All it needs is a little lift up. So then the water falls back on the side. Did that make sense to everybody?
They're ready to do it this weekend. Now we're moving on.
The gelée that goes with it is very simple. You
yes.
take either a sweet wine like a Sauterne or something like this, or a port, or you could even take, in this part of the world, right now we have currant. I just made some white currant, pickled white currant. You could use currant. You could use grape. We have grapes coming up, especially if they're a little bit sour. Put grape and honey together, bring it to, juice it up, bring it to a boil, put 2 leaves of gelatins in there, or a little bit of gelatin powder, cool it down. It's going to be like a mirror. And then you pour it. As soon as it's cool enough, you don't want it to be hot because you don't want to melt the terrine. So your chicken liver mousse is already cold. You pour the gelée right on top, it's a little level like this, and then you let it cool off. Put it in the fridge. It will be. And if you want to play around, you take some nice, beautiful leaf of tarragon, or it's the theme of the day. Why not? Let's keep going. Or, parsley or whatever leaf you want, and you put them right on top of that gelatin, and it will, of that gelée, and it will sink into it, and it will be beautiful. Serve that with some nice crostini baguette on the side. You're home. Whew. Next.
We
Oh my God.
enjoyed many years of eating at Luke. I would like to know how you made your burrata salad. The burrata cheese that I find in stores has a harder shell not found in your salad. And how did you prepare the nectarines? Because I have not been able to duplicate that wonderful salad.
Who's that? So the nectarine are grilled. So that's, you take the nectarine, you quarter them, or 8 to a nectarine. So cut it in half, cut it in half, cut it in half again. And you toss them with a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, and we grill them. We mark them on the grill. So it gives it a little char flavor, I guess. And that goes on the bottom of the plate. Arugula is another item that we used to put on there from time to time. And the burrata, the reason it's not crusty on the outside is because we only use the inside. We use the outside to do something else. So it's actually pure cream, soft. And as you know, burrata on the middle is like all soft. So we took the outside and used it for something different, for another dish. So it was just a little cheating idea. It's like cream and peach. Why not? So that was as simple as that. And the dressing, a little white vinegar and olive oil. So the white vinegar gives you a little hint, a little zing into the salad. So the cream and the peach are very soft, and they're also very sweet. So once you put a little white vinegar, it brings that little zing into that salad. And fresh herbs, drizzle on top, whatever you want to do. Basil. What's that other herb we've been talking about? just kidding. Anise hyssop is one of my favorite herbs to use on that salad.
We know.
Well, I haven't mentioned it yet.
Not today. Next, are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
I have a few pounds of frozen Hood Canal spot prawns.
Oh, where?
When are we coming over?
I know.
What would you suggest for a simple recipe that would enhance the sweet and subtle taste of the spot prawns?
Oh my God, there's a million ways to do spot prawn. I love spot prawn. I probably would do a broth.
Yes.
So you probably have the heads on. Who's this? Do you have heads on?
No,
But you have
heads.
the shell.
They're in the shell. the
So I
guest says.
would take them out of I would thaw them out. I would take them out of the shell, take the shell, make a quick stock, just a little bit of white wine, mostly water. Maybe a quarter of an onion, diced really small. You want to dice everything small because it's going to cook fast. Maybe some bay leaf, a little thyme. Bring that to a boil, cook, simmer it down for about 20 minutes, and that's it. And pile it through a fine sieve. So now you have a liquid to go with, and that's going to be your broth. Spot prawn are the most beautiful thing in the world, I think.
Mhm.
They're so delicate, they're so tender. Cooking is not even, when I think spot prawn, I never think cooking because it takes about 1 to 3, and that's how you want to eat them. You want to keep them tender, you want to keep them soft, or not. You don't want it to be a Michelin tire. You want it to be tender, so you don't want to overcook them. But the broth is where it's going to be at. So I would take that broth and I would reduce it down very slowly to about 1/3 of what you have in liquid. Finish with a big nugget of butter, and then from there you can do. You could do grated ginger. Just put fresh grated ginger in there and keep it as simple as that. So now you have a ginger shrimp kind of butter sauce. It's more like a broth, like a rich, a silky sauce. Silky sauce is what I'm trying to say. And anyway, you take your spot, you bring that to a boil. You take it off the fire. You put your spot prawn in there. In 1 minute, you're done. I think it would be a great combination. Ginger and tarragon. Actually, they love each other.
They're very good friends.
Roasted garlic, black garlic. Black garlic. You could use black garlic and puree that and into your broth at the last minute. That would also be a nice, beautiful flavor. Caviar would be
A topping of caviar.
topping a caviar on those pot prawn would be delicious too. And if you don't have caviar, you could do flying fish roll, tobiko, nice crunchiness, ginger grated. You could even do pickled ginger in that broth. That would be so delicious. But the broth is where it's at. You get those shells, you got to get that flavor out of there. Don't put it in the garbage, please. Put it in the freezer. If you don't know what to do the day of, put it in a little bag in the freezer. Use it when you have time. But don't throw them away. It's too valuable.
With your corn cobs.
Oh, with corn. One
Coming
more.
up next.
That's
Yeah,
it?
Yep. I think we're at the end of this, so we're going to keep going.
Coming up next, we're not doing trivia. We're just going to have more questions for Thierry.
Terry's Brain. We're
All
doing
right, here we
Terry's
go.
Brain next.
Stay with us on Cairo 97.3 FM. I thought we had 2 minutes. Yeah. Okay, here we go. How are we doing so far, you guys? I don't know if we're going to be able to get to all the questions.
No peeking.
Oh. All right. No peeking.
No peeking.
No Chinese. No peeking. All right. Okay. Shall we?
Yes.
We are back in the kitchen at the House of Society on Cairo 97.3 FM. I'm Thierry Roturo, the chef in the hat. And I must say, this has been fun in our segments to have all those questions from the audience. And we have so many more. Sometimes we have 5 people in here. Today we have 107. And they're going to be here all weekend.
Well, it's refreshing for me to hear what people want to hear.
I know.
As the
Gives us ideas.
producer, I'm up, late at night, like, what is going to be interesting to our audience? But now we know.
Yeah.
Because we have these questions. So,
Next question.
next question. Tom Douglas may poo-poo French culture, but we love it. If we are going to visit one region of France to explore their food, where do you recommend?
Who's that? What kind of food do you like? I would go center of France.
The audience member says, because
Oh yeah. So she said that she loves rich food, and I would say the center of France is probably, well, there is some rich. You go to the Dordogne area, and they have the duck confit, the magret, the foie gras. I mean, that's they have the rich food down there. That's definitely a place to visit. Um, Provence is extremely diversified. Um, the capital of gastronomy is Lyon. So if you have one city to do, go to Lyon.
Why? What makes it the
Just
capital?
because she wants nice, traditional, rich. They do traditional, they do rich, and really emphasis on meat like charcuterie, deli, and stuff like that, and then bakery, and then I mean Lyon is definitely a place where you have very classic, rich food. Lyon and the area around Lyon. So I would recommend a trip to Lyon. That would be my first advice. And then from Lyon, you can just go down the Rhone Valley and end up in Provence. And
I liked the Loire for all the cheese.
yeah, that's another trip.
That is
Very,
what I
very
want to go
cool.
back to again and again.
And the chateau.
Yeah.
Nothing like walking around with a goat cheese sandwich, a nice bottle of rosé, and watching a chateau.
Let's do it.
Hello, I'm here.
All right, sir. What is your favorite type of mushroom?
Oh, well, in dry, I'm going to say the most versatile mushroom we have in the Pacific Northwest is probably the morel. And one thing that I do often, have done many times, is lightly smoke my morel because unfortunately, true morel in the next year fire, you have a fire 1 year. Best morel are usually the year after there's been a fire in an area. That's when you find the best morel with a nice light smoke and everything. But most of the time, to me, we find morels and they're not very smoky. And I like smokiness in morels. So I used to take, just burn some nice little wood in a perforated pan, deep dish, and then cover it up after the heat was gone. Put my mushroom in there and leave them overnight. And the morel would pick up that flavor of like coal smoke. And to me, it's a gorgeous mushroom. And from there, I would use fresh morel. And if there was some morel I couldn't get to, I had a big harvest, I would dry the morel, then put them in seal bags. And then in the winter, there's nothing more attractive than taking a nice oxtail broth. Then you have strained and really clean broth, and then drop in some dried morel in there. I'll tell you one thing, this is a great soup. You take that and then you make, you could even add more sauteed mushroom of the season if there is any around. But most importantly, you take root vegetable like caramelized turnips, carrots, in the middle of winter, parsnip, mix like the whole thing together into a broth, into an oxtail broth, and then you put those morels in there. It's like, and of course, of winter
Whoa.
is also some very fun guy to be around. Yeah. No, I mean truffle is obviously, but it's a specialty. But for us around here, morel, and of course chanterelle. Right now, this time of the year in the fall, gorgeous mushroom,
Gorgeous.
beautiful mushroom.
But we're moving on.
Moving on.
What magic can you bring to chicken, and what is your favorite chicken recipe, please?
Oh, very good. I like that. Okay, magic to mushroom to chicken. Pardon me. Well, the magic to chicken, I think, is high roasting. I'm a big fan of starting my chicken super high, to give it a nice little crispy. But I like also to brine my chicken.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of brining my chicken for a few hours in a little water, some fresh herbs or dry herbs, I should say, not fresh herbs, and rinse off my chicken when it comes out, pat it super dry, and then on the inside, it's usually lemon, bay leaf, and thyme, and salt. That's what I put into my chicken, inside the chicken. And then I roast it super high. So I pat a little butter under the skin, just because you can. Why not? And then you put it at 450 degrees in the oven, and you give it that nice, beautiful, crispy skin. And then you turn down the oven to about 400. And it takes about, for a 4-pound chicken, it takes about, or 3.5-pound chicken, it takes about 45 minutes to 55 minutes to cook. And Don't be afraid to use your meat thermometer. Poke it. Once you reach one, what do they want? I always ask,
What's the health
what do the health
want,
department
and what
want?
do we want to eat it at?
I go at 145 and then I take it out of the oven and I let it sit. And it will give you this beautiful chicken, nice little citrus flavor on the inside, gorgeous crispy skin on the outside. And that's what I want in a chicken.
If Tom were here, he would say, use your thermometer.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody needs an instant read so you don't
How
dry
many
it
of you
out.
do not use your thermometer or don't have one?
Well,
Oh,
nobody's
everybody's got
admitting
one.
it.
I love this word. Next question.
Um, there are a couple around restaurants. One enthusiast of Moto Pizza wants to know if you've been there yet.
No, I have not yet. I heard, but I have not. Who's that? Where is it?
West Seattle is what the guest is saying. What is? Tell us what is special about it. Want to jump on the mic real quick so we have a strong.
We have a Seahawk
enthusiasm.
fan who's talk about Moto.
Apparently, the secret is the sourdough crust, but it's not an extra thick crust like Chicago style, but it's not thin either. It's right in the middle, but there's a lot of love that goes into the crust, and it's so good you could eat anything on it.
All right,
Cool.
I'm driving to West
Thank
Seattle.
you. Are
That's
you
all
from
there is.
Chicago?
No.
No, because I lived in Chicago and I never understood why they call that a pizza. Never understood that.
It's too much.
Where I come from, we call it a gratin. All right. Well, Moto in West Seattle. I definitely will try it.
And do you have a restaurant tip now?
Restaurant tip as in-
People are asking for restaurants that you're enjoying in Seattle now.
Lately, one of my favorite restaurants has been Vivian Bistro on Mercer Island. New Chinese cooking. I call
And
it New
I
Chinese.
went there because you recommended it, and it lived up to it spectacularly.
Oh, I am so impressed. Seriously?
Yes.
You liked it? Yeah.
Because
I
I
think
got
it's-
that crab dish with this shell.
Yeah.
And
And then the duck. They have
And
a
the
duck with a
duck.
caramelized lemon. Really delicious. A roasted duck. So Vivian Bistro on Mercer Island would be my probably it's one of my I've been to a few other restaurants and I think it's another segment where we should elaborate on that. And because today we talked about Korean we were talking about Korean bistro
fried chicken, yeah.
fried chicken and Korean tradition festival, I had brought a piece of paper that had name of Korean places. But if you go on Aurora up north, there's a whole bunch of Korean restaurants. If you haven't been, you owe it yourself. Take a trip out there and visit a few of those restaurants. It's a good introduction to Korean food.
We have to move on from Tarragon
Okay.
because we have an interest in what foods would be good to grill using sprigs of rosemary. You don't talk about
Sprigs of rosemary?
Yes.
Oh, I use it all the time. I have a lot of rosemary in my backyard. Anytime I roast vegetable, especially whole in the pan, like if I'm going to do a bunch of carrots or a bunch of turnips, especially as we're coming to the fall and winter, it's very common. Like Thanksgiving is a giant roasting pan full of root vegetable with rosemary, olive oil, thyme. Those are my favorite herbs to use because they last in roasting and they give you beautiful flavor. The only thing with rosemary is just don't overdo it because it's very oily and it's very strong. So, but other than that, it's a beautiful herb to use in the wintertime for sure. Less in the summer because I have so many fresh herbs to use in the summer and I focus on that.
And let's finish up
Okay.
with your least favorite protein to cook and your most favorite.
Well, I'd like
Entrecote.
to not stick to one protein, but seafood is definitely one of my favorite protein because we live in the Pacific Northwest. We have a bounty of it, and we also have it's right in our backyard. So it's even closer than any meat you can think of. We have all this ocean right here. So I will go with seafood on that for the favorite. The least favorite, I don't know that I have a least favorite item to cook. I've always used the same analogy. If it's dead and you bring it to me, I will cook it.
All right. That sounds fair.
That's very true. All right. So
Wrap it up. Bring us home.
Bring us home. If you want to be part of the show, you can join the community of YouTube Live at tomdouglas.com and company, or you can buy a ticket and join us like all these beautiful people here today in the studio at the hotstuffsociety.com. You're listening to the Hot Stuff Society show on Carol Radio 97.3 FM. The show is produced by Pamela Inkley, Sean McFadden, and our editor is Sean DeTore. Also, remember, if you miss any episode of our Hot Stuff Society show on Carol 97.3 FM, you can listen via podcast or just subscribe with your favorite app. Thanks for listening and have a fabulous weekend.
Woo!
Woo!
Nice work, chef.
It's the only time of the show where I'm like, I gotta read this. All right. Sorry, Annie. Chef Annie?
No noise.
No noise. Chef Annie? Thank you so much.